Hey!
Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
We're Jamie and Trevor from the Beer Banter podcast.
Hey, it's us.
Do you recognize us? So this is episode 5. Woo! We're going to talk about beer styles and why they're sometimes important, but also why sometimes they're not important. At the end of the episode, we're going to try American IPA.
Yep.
And maybe some other beers.
Maybe some other stuff.
So sit back and enjoy a pint with us. Cheers.
Cheers. Give me beer, give me fire, give me that much I desire. Trevor here to talk about a few beer styles.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about beer styles as a topic because we delved into that a little bit last episode. And I feel like some brewers and breweries get caught up in beer styles in general, when sometimes all you want is a good beer.
Yep.
And they are important in some ways. They're guidance for brewers to stick to a flavor, color, aroma, strength, ABV, and then they'll know what ingredients to incorporate, all that kind of stuff. It also helps people visiting your tap room to know what to expect, as in IPA, Pilsner, Lager, Saison, wheat beer. So when I pop into a brewery and I want a certain beer style, I go with usually a lager if it's a warm day.
Yep.
Typically, I'm not drinking hazy IPAs on a 28-degree July afternoon.
Yep. You just ride the lightning?
Yeah.
If you're not bringing me a beer, get the hell out of here.
So breweries tend to have their own beer styles that they stick to.
I think everybody tries to stay in the style guidelines.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's important to have your take. And that's sort of the artisanal aspect.
Oh, it's your hair.
Just pull my whole hat off.
I was like, some straggly.
They're always going to be there. Yeah, it's like the artisanal aspect of making beer.
Yeah.
Right? You just like, you have your take on it.
Yeah.
You would use saws. I might use Tettnanger, right? Like
little tet.
Little tat. Yeah, and that's what makes them each sort of unique in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You gotta be in that realm, but like make it your own.
Right. A lot of styles have a lot of ground to work with in terms of experimenting.
Yeah.
And there are some styles that kind of just don't lend very well to experimentation.
Yep.
If I see a German Pilsner on a tap room menu, I expect it to taste like a German Pilsner. If it says, Italian Pilsner or New Zealand Pilsner or dry hop Pilsner, I know that like those other styles might be a little bit more experimental in maybe they're using different hops. But yeah, some styles you have a lot of room to work with. Other styles you kind of expect what it's going to taste like. And if it doesn't really taste like what you expect a German Pilsner to taste, for example, then you're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Not that it's
not a bad thing.
If it's a good beer, it's a good beer. I don't really care.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cultural and historical value in certain styles as well. Some styles are tied to regions, traditions and histories, like Trappist ales. We just talked about Belgian Saisons on the last episode, or English bitter beers. So those styles are kind of set in stone where they're tied to certain regions. But for instance, IPA used to just mean bitter and dark gold to amber color, malty and hoppy.
And it was always like citrusy, piney hop. Like like the West Coast was like the original IPA kind of thing, right? And then people evolved it, made it their own, and now there's new categories as a result of that, which makes it cool. And that's a whole like experimentation of playing around with something, and if it's good enough, it gets recognition.
Yes.
It creates a whole trend and a movement.
Yeah.
And probably there couldn't be one better than New England or hazy IPA, right?
Yeah. And I often find myself asking at a tap room, for instance, that if it just says IPA, whatever the beer name is.
Define what IPA means.
Yeah, it just says IPA. I find myself having to ask, what kind of IPA is it? Because sometimes I don't want a caramelly, crystal malt, forward, Chinook, Centennial, Cascade hop.
Yeah.
IPA. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I don't. Like if it's a winter, I'll definitely take one of those. Like a fall winter day. But if it's a summer day, I'm probably not going to go for the 6.5% anyways, but I still want to know what kind of IPA it is. Like tell me what hops you use. Tell me the malt bill. Like tell me something. Don't just put IPA, because 20 years ago you could put IPA and you could probably.
And then look at all the categories of IPA now.
Not all IPAs are created equal, okay? Not all IPAs are created equal. There are 50 different IPAs now.
Right.
Maybe 10, maybe 20. I don't know.
There's got to be like 50 different brown ales too.
Let's see how many IPA styles that I can name off the top of my head. American IPA, there's hazy IPA, there is milkshake IPA, there's imperial IPA, there's session IPAs, micro IPAs, which are even lower than session IPAs. Anything.
You forgot one off the start.
New England style.
Second one, the OG.
Double IPA.
No. Say West Coast?
No, I didn't. West Coast, yeah. Which I would tie in American IPA, but no, West Coast is definitely its own style. Then there's East Coast.
Is East Coast New England?
I think East Coast, it's so hard to say because IPA started as IPA, like American IPA.
Yeah.
It's not Keith's. Keith's is not an IPA.
Oh, I was just about to say, it started as Alexander Keith's back in 1864.
Alexander Keith toiled since 1820 for that beverage.
So the reason why they call them IPAs is, we don't need to hear that story again, but I don't know why now nobody calls them New England style IPAs anymore. They just call them hazy IPAs.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
because I think people they're like, I don't know where that is or what it is. You know, they just, they're like, I want the appearance of what that is. I don't know where is it from England? I don't know.
Good point, because somebody at a brewery that I was working for did ask. They were like, New England, like, is that like in England?
Are you a cat?
And I'm like, well, no, New England is a region in the United States near Massachusetts. New England Patriots. Come on, Pats. Tom Brady.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's like New Mexico.
Hey, there's a New Mexico.
There's a New Mexico?
There's a New Mexico.
Yeah, it's like, just tell me what kind of IPA it is. Don't just put IPA 6.5%. That's it. Like, don't mess with me. Just tell me what and if you don't know the hops, I'm probably not going to order it,
If you were to ask at somewhere and you're like, what's the hops on there? Any server. And they're like, oh, I can't tell you. You're like,
they'll typically say, oh, I can check for you.
I'll go for Bud Light then.
When they say I can check for you, that means that they're going to text the brewer at like 8 p.m. And to which I would always say, don't do that. Don't bother that poor person, because they probably don't need to
already worked hard
receive
enough.
This text. Yeah. The other reason why beer styles can be important is education and appreciation.
Yep.
A lot of people are getting into beer, or whether they're already into beer. Understanding styles can deepen appreciation for certain styles. And then it helps you recognize what makes a great Kolsch versus a good Kolsch. Mastering styles is one thing that, whether you're starting out homebrewing or you're starting out as a brewer in the industry, I know a lot of people who have went to the Niagara program and then also the Olds College program in Alberta. And they're great programs, but you don't always get experience brewing multiple different styles, because there's a lot of people in the classes and it's a lot of group projects and stuff like that.
And I think that's what I enjoyed most about starting out homebrewing. It was just like, let's figure out what that is.
Yeah.
And like do it a few times, figure out what makes a good Kolsch.
Yeah.
What are those ingredients that you need to really dial it in?
Yeah.
And, you're going to mess up the first few times, and cool. That's part of the learning curve, right?
And I equate it to being a musician, but yeah, but I don't just want to play one instrument. I don't just want to play one style of music. But on the flip side of that, you should probably master or know at least one type of music.
Yeah. Master.
Yeah.
Master.
Master.
Where have those dreams that I've been after?
Mastering one style it'll probably open your mind up to how to master other styles as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you figure it out and then you get feedback from other people as well, and they're like, yeah, that's dialed in.
Yeah.
Then you can kind of make it your own. Exactly. Even though maybe you already have been that whole time, like you got an idea what the style is. Like, I know I need this for this malt, this hop, this yeast that creates that style. Then you can kind of play around a little bit more and make it your own. still falls in the category. And there's subcategories.
Oh, I mean, just speaking on BJCP, there are at least 5 subcategories for IPA.
Yeah.
There's American IPA, double IPA,
Lager.
Imperial IPA, New England style IPA.
Yeah. Stouts.
Session IPA. Stouts, lagers, a lot of lagers, tons of lagers.
They all go on forever now. And I feel
Yeah.
like before it was probably like very cut and dry. Like you had lager, English ale. Like they were all like, we're this specific category. If you're not in that, you're out. And now there's a like blend of all these things. And that's the artistic part of it, is it's gotten where people are sort of blending styles and creating new things.
Yes.
And it's created these subcategories, which makes it fun. Maybe one of the beers that we're going to try in a little bit is sort of like on that cusp of like, we don't know what that style is.
Yeah, right on the edge of a style.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because just because it doesn't fall within style guidelines of, say, an American light lager doesn't mean anything. If it's a good beer, maybe it doesn't fall, maybe it's not quite an American lager, maybe it's not quite an American light lager, maybe it's not quite a Pilsner or a lagered ale, but if it's really good, it doesn't really matter.
Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. I know for me, I brew with my eyes first. I use software. I use BeerSmith.
Oh.
I've been using that for 15 years. And I have that so dialed in now. I have all my water profiles for everywhere that I've brewed. Canmore, Alberta, Calgary, Alberta, Toronto.
Very different water.
Very, very different water. But fun fact, all good water for brewing. Toronto has great brewing water. So does Calgary and Canmore.
We have great water in Canada.
Yeah, we do.
We really do.
But you can plug in a style.
And they provide like reference points, right?
Yeah, so it's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
You'll be able to see it, and you say you want it a little darker. Maybe you're doing like a black IPA, or maybe that's bad.
Is that a style?
Cascadian Dark Ale.
Oh, Cascadian Dark Ale.
Say you're doing an American IPA and you've loaded in your recipe.
The Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Also known as Batman. Cascadian Dark Ale. Yeah. Also known as Black IPA.
Yeah, if it's like an American IPA and it's not dark enough, you can see the color of the beer in the top right corner. And then on the bottom half of the screen, you can see all the guidelines of what starting gravity will be, and then what the SRM color will be, what the IBUs will be, and then what the ABV will likely be depending on fermentation.
Yeah.
And it has all these little checks of like, is it too much? Is it too little? And you can kind of visually build your beer on that software. You can just, it's not quite high enough in IBU. Let's add a few more bittering hops in the 2 more grams or ounces of bittering hops.
I think I use Brewer's Friend.
It's good too.
They're very similar. They're like great platforms, and they're pretty affordable subscriptions that you can control all your recipes. They have all the data in there.
Yeah.
It works really well.
I still use Brewer's Friend as well, even though I also use BeerSmith.
Yeah. And in like the first couple homebrews that I didn't even know about that. Just like
me either.
Fuck around and find out. And it was like a very dark ale. And you figure it out pretty quick what happens.
And
boil time, mash time, like everything really matters to what the outcome is going to be, which obviously, but you adapt, and all that sort of online software pretty much has everything. So you're not really introducing anything new to it. You can really like manage it effectively.
And once you realize how much work homebrewing is, it's a lot of planning and preparation beforehand. Your mise en place, as a chef would do. You have to have all your shit laid out. Then once you're going through the brew day, you're always checking, making sure everything's good. Like, is my mash temperature good? Whatever, all that, anything like that. And then it's just a lot of work setting up and then cleaning up. Then it's a lot of waiting, about a week for primary fermentation, and then maybe another week for secondary if you're trying to get the beer off of hops or whatever and into a clean, empty fermenter or something like that. And then you're chilling it down 2, 3, 4 days. Then you're packaging it. If you're bottling it, you're waiting a week for it to carbonate and then chilling it.
Bottle conditioning.
If you're kegging it, you're sanitizing your keg and making sure all that's good. And then if it doesn't taste good, you wasted physical hours of your day and then waiting weeks to taste a beer that's not great. that's why I see so many people, and I've seen and met so many people that have gotten out of homebrewing because maybe it's too much work and they haven't delved into the reason why their beers might not, or maybe their beers were great. I'm not saying they all sucked, but I mean, just look at Long Slice.
Yeah.
It's closed now.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the beer wasn't good. We should go grab a new beer and because I'm empty. So we're gonna go grab a beer to sample, and then we'll come back at you after this short commercial break.
So we got a Muskoka detour.
Muskoka detour from beautiful Muskoka Brewery in Muskoka Lakes, Ontario.
One time we'll be filming up there, and we'll do a cast from up there.
Yeah,
and then we'll never come back again. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Essentially a session IPA.
Yes.
Or could we call it a pale ale?
Definitely you can call
it
Yeah.
Another style bending thing. Do we call IPAs pale ales that are 5%? That's a funny thing. Pale ale.
Yeah.
Dry hopped. Now it's a session IPA.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Yeah. It's great. I've
fantastic.
had this many times.
Many a time.
It's funny because ABV tends to dictate what type of beer it is.
4.3.
Yeah, so 4.3% on this makes it a session IPA, I guess. I think anything sessionable is usually below 4.5%.
Yep.
Obviously, lighter beers that are more hopped. Coors Light's 4%, but there's virtually no hops.
There's no hops.
It's barely even beer.
I think there's one pellet of Saaz in there.
I think so.
In like a 600
1 milliliter of Saaz, because they probably use liquid hop product.
They're using liquid for sure.
Oh, yeah, inline. Yeah. They probably have an inline hop doser probably. Yeah. But this beer is great. Muskoka Brewery, they make great beer. It's also in one of the most beautiful areas in Canada. And they debuted this in 2015. It says here on the old site.
Nice.
Their tasting notes, as they list on their site, balancing a sweet, fruity aroma with slightly bitter flavors from the hops. This session beer packs a big, juicy flavor with a slightly dry finish. Look for tastes of peach, pineapples, mangoes amid the hoppy flavor. Might be some Cascade and maybe Citra. I don't know. Citra's kind of an expensive hop for them to use.
This is big volume for them too, right?
Yeah.
There could be a Chinook in there.
Yeah, maybe.
It's got a nice little like piney finish.
Yeah, yeah.
But like really subtle.
Yeah, I am getting a lot of tropical fruit, peaches, mangoes, and it is pretty dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very sweet at all. And the
I like that.
Body is definitely light. Great beer.
Yeah.
So this is a beer style.
Anytime, any day of the week.
Anytime, yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Session beer. Any day, anytime. Yeah, great brewery, great beer. On the topic of beer style, session IPAs didn't even exist 15, 20 years ago.
And another thing going back to the IPA style is like there was the IPA and people, I think, were intimidated by it because it's always like 6%. So it seems like that people wanted an IPA, but they didn't want what the IPA would do or
do to you. Yeah,
would have the cause and effect. So
it's like, geez, I want 10 of you little guys.
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm gonna like
how 10 like 2 more.
I don't think I'm gonna like how 10 of you little guys make me feel.
So yeah, like I'd rather have 6 session IPAs, and 100%. Get through the night. But now there's the whole non-alc thing, right? And so it's like it started out as this thing. There's the people that want it bigger, flex real hard, make it double, make it triple, make a quad, go to the hospital. Or you take the other route.
Yeah.
You got session IPA, you got maybe even lighter micro IPA, and then non-alc IPA. There's like a really wide spectrum of what it is now.
Yeah.
And then there's there's that spectrum of ABV, and then there's what style are you?
Yeah.
Are you West Coast? Are you hazy?
Yeah. The experiment that I did last year for Henderson was I wanted to brew 2 IPAs with the exact same ingredients, just one's 4% and one's 10%.
Nice.
And I did that.
Super Joe
and Meek Joe.
Nice.
Yeah,
those are good.
It was great. And
great job.
I have 1 can of Super Joe left. We'll taste it on some episode future. It's not getting any better in the can. I'm not aging it, but
you've cryogenically frozen it though, right?
Yeah. It's been cryogenically frozen.
A legend in his own time.
So it'll be fine.
Yeah. So that was a cool example of two styles that are far apart in ABV, but the exact same ingredients, just different 30 to 40% less of them.
Yeah. To balance the two out.
Yeah. And
because you're not going to put the amount of hops that you're putting in a 10%er into a.
Exactly. It's like 20 grams per liter versus 50 grams
It's just
per
a
liter.
green drink.
Yeah.
Looks like a green smoothie.
It's quite vegetal. Sir, you're chewing on foliage. Interesting. But it was a really cool experiment because you drink them side by side. Holy shit. This is like this, but with more or with less, you know? It's like Citrus Simcoe Mosaic, you know? It's just those three hops are magic.
They're like the best buddies.
They're the three best friends that anybody could ever have.
I said nobody. It's
nobody.
Anybody.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be my friend.
I'm your friend.
Wait till we do some winter episodes of this and we're sipping on imperial stouts and barrel aged.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna be at that. Like
we're gonna have a bottle share.
I love you, man. Yeah, it's funny since we're talking about beer styles. Some of the reasons why they might not be as important, we already touched on a few of them. But beer drinkers just want to drink good beer. And you shouldn't get bogged up on styles so much. There's also a big overlap sometimes in styles. We touched on that slightly, but in the modern craft world, there are lines between styles that are slightly blurred, so you don't really know where things fall. And if you go to the States, then you go to somewhere like breweries like Other Half, they'll have their list. And they'll have hazy IPA, juicy IPA. What's the difference? Like, I would assume juicy IPA is slightly juicier than a hazy, but a hazy IPA is juicy.
That's kind of the goal and the idea, I thought, of what those two distinctions are.
And those aren't really classic beer styles anyway.
No, and unless it's actually juiced. We had a mango puree to this one.
No, like I'm not trying to say anything bad about Other Half. They have a lot of great beers. They're definitely an IPA brewery. So if you don't like IPAs, maybe. Yeah, the Other Half in Brooklyn is right by the Domino's Sugar Factory and near L'Industrie Pizza.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
good.
It's one of the best Brooklyn shops. I don't know, like there are blurred lines between styles, so don't really like get caught up on what you think it is and just brew as good of a beer as you can, I guess.
And enjoy the beers that you like as well. Like you don't have to think that you have to fall into a specific category to be able to drink that beer. Like if that's what you like, drink it.
Like you can listen to metal and jazz. It's fine. Like
they're called infusion?
Yeah. It's jazz fusion.
Jazz fusion.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Oh yeah. There's also like globalization of beer kind of changed a lot of things in terms of styles.
Oh, sweet relief.
Brewers worldwide take influence from everywhere now. You'll find, German Kolsch brewed in Japan, for instance.
Yep.
And it's not really a proper Kolsch unless it's in Cologne, Germany. Like, let's be real. West Coast IPAs are brewed in Scandinavia, for instance, everywhere in between. There's hybrids everywhere in between.
Well, and that's the thing that we're talking about, that crossover is like there are the traditional regions where things are brewed. Cologne for Kolsch, German Pilsner, there's a certain region for everything. West Coast, we're thinking of West Coast IPA, we're thinking of BC and, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Portland, Washington, Seattle.
And then, you got your East Coast hazy, New England hazy. So you got your whole
Vermont,
East Coast.
Maine.
So there's the like regions that they come from that sort of defines what they are.
Yeah.
But now we have the crossover of let's interpret and make it what we think we want it to, or the creativity of creating your own style of what that sort of came from.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of styles didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. Like Italian Pilsner is a relatively new style.
Hey, forget about
it.
Sorry.
But getting to
use focaccia yeast.
use a pizza dough starter. If you're focused on nailing a beer style, that's great. But don't always think that you need to follow style guidelines as strict, because that's how new beer styles are born.
Yeah.
It's creativity.
Yeah. That's just it. And and there you go. Like that defined a new style.
Music.
Being creative, and that's it. That's what it's all about. Right?
Music is similar. You're not going to invent a new chord that has never been played.
But it's how you implement it into other things.
Exactly. Yeah. You can use that chord in your own song that's never been written and recorded quite like that and make it your own. And that's probably why I play music and I brew beer.
Yeah.
Those two big reasons of creativity. And it's great to...
You know why? Because nothing else matters.
Because nothing else matters. There's going to be so many Metallica clips spliced in here.
Yeah, that's what makes it so fun. It's a creative process.
Yeah.
Just like cooking. Cooking is fun. You get a recipe, you look at what it is, you grab what you grab, and then you make it how you make it. And you can watch Giada do it, enjoy yourself for many other reasons. Or you can cook along with her and, make your own thing.
Cacio e pepe. Since we're on the topic of Italian business, cacio e pepe.
That's what makes it fun. Cooking is just, you have the idea and you get what you need and you try and make it that thing.
And you're probably never gonna brew the exact same beer as Heady Topper from The Alchemist.
Yeah.
But you can brew your own version of that and it could be just as good.
Yeah. I don't have fresh peas, so I'm going to use frozen peas.
Yeah.
There we go.
Exactly. Cook the exact same meal as, Gordon Ramsay or whatever, but you can take the same ingredients and make it good.
Make it your own.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, if it sucks, at least you had a good meal.
Yeah.
Or a meal.
And then quit and figure out something else.
Quit and figure out something else to do. Yeah. And we're back.
We're back.
So this is the portion where we're going to taste another beer. This one is a special one. We actually didn't realize that we were able to even get it, but we talked about it on episode 3, and I'm going to slowly reveal it. By the way, I want to shout out Yeti. They make great products, and if you want to be a sponsor...
Cozy?
Cozy.
It's
cozy.
It is cozy.
Yeah. The beer just gets colder. It gets colder. It gets colder towards the bottom. It does. I swear to God, it's science.
It's the best thing.
It's an Oh Sure from Land Grant again in beautiful Columbus, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah, we were joking about the marketing and the way that they, there was a photo of their beer with like garlic and tomatoes, and I just thought it was hilarious. Turns out they also make really good beer.
Bending beer styles and putting garlic and tomatoes in their Italian IPA?
You have one too.
Oh, shit.
Oh, from the ground up. It's like a carrot. It grew.
Wait, it also says the beers with the Brewers podcast.
Wow, they have a podcast. Interesting. Maybe we'll get together sometime. This is really cool. I'm excited to try this.
Me too. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, shit. All right.
Sure.
Oh, sure. That's an IPA, all right?
Mm-hmm. Really ripe pineapple.
6.4%. Yeah, we did go through this on episode 3, if you want to head back there and check it out. But since we're tasting it now, I'll just say the old stats. It's 6.4%. They use Simcoe, Cashmere, Comet, Eureka, and Mosaic.
Eureka!
Eureka, we found it!
That's not Oh Sure.
No.
Oh Sure. That would be a fun hop name, though. You just put it in anything.
Should I use these hops? Oh, sure.
What is it? I don't know. 12 to 20 alpha acid? Sure.
What about the beta acids?
Yeah.
What about the oils?
Sure.
What's it high on? Lin oils?
Yeah, oils.
Oh,
yeah,
great.
Get them in there.
Get them in there.
Sure.
Get a bag in there. Pilsner, wheat malt, and Vienna. I can definitely taste the Vienna, and that contributes to the golden color.
Crushability is 5.
Yeah.
What is that a range of? Is it 1 to 5?
We discussed that we tried to discuss that on the last episode that we talked about this beer, and we didn't really know. I'm assuming it's out of 10, but they don't say.
So it's sure.
Because typically you would go 5/ out of whatever it's out of. I'm not sure why they chose to omit that. Do they have a character count that they're trying to reduce their character count?
I think it's the character of the beer that it's just sure.
That's a delicious beer.
Yep, really nice.
It's 6.4%. It's not as bitter. It's definitely I wouldn't say a hazy, but it's definitely a lighter finish. The hops definitely stick around.
Yeah.
I don't know how most breweries do it, but when I'm writing tasting notes for a beer that I've brewed, the first hops that I list are the bittering hops. And then from the first to the last hop would be either a dry hop or a late addition.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're doing that, but if they bittered with Simcoe, I would assume they wouldn't bitter with Simcoe. You can, for sure. You can bitter. You can bitter with anything, really.
I would think Comet.
Comet or Cashmere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Comet probably more. But if they did add those hops in order, and Mosaic is one of the last hops they use, whether a dry hop or a Whirlpool edition, I'm getting a lot of Mosaic on the nose and on
which
the back,
I'm happy about.
Back into the palate.
It's really nice. I think it's one of my faves.
Citra Simcoe Mosaic. It's
like saying Magnum's useless.
Magnum is one of the best bittering hops. It's my favorite bittering hop.
Oh, there you go. I think that is right in there for American IPA.
Yep.
That's kind of where you want it to be. It's got that fruitiness, but it's like
it's just
nice
not
bitter.
as bitter.
It's got a good body.
Yeah, I would actually prefer this during the
during the war,
during the warmer months and the war.
For one.
1812.
Okay, cool. Yeah. They're making this back then for sure.
Yeah, I want an 18.12% beer.
Not sure, for sure.
And I want a 21.12% beer too.
Oh, faux show.
Oh, faux show.
It is beer garden season.
It is. It's a beer garden season.
Let's answer your questions.
All right. This has been great, Jamie.
As always, Trevor.
We have a few questions.
On the BBP podcast.
On the BBPC.
BBPC.
BBPC.c.
Create whatever acronym you want out of that.
So I asked questions on the old Instagram. I said, send me your beer questions. And we got a couple responses. One from Christopher again. He asked a really interesting question.
Got to say.
What beer style or trend is something that you can't stand? Do you want to go first or should I?
If you're dialed in, ready to go, you should fire.
I am dialed in. I'm not a big fan of the milkshake IPAs. I know that it might not be a trend currently, but it was a trend at one point, and almost every single IPA had lactose in it. And I was just like, please, for the love of God, settle down on the lactose.
Yeah.
Like it's way too sweet. And
it's crazy.
People who have problems with dairy or whatever.
Speak no more. We've matched. That was exactly mine. We've been talking about a lot of IPAs today. Obviously, we always do. But there's so many great styles, and I think that's an infection on IPAs.
Yeah, I will also.
It's terrible. I want to drink IPAs and enjoy them, and I don't want mud butt.
Yeah. Gross. That's disgusting.
Well, like, why do we need lactose in an IPA? It's already delicious. And again, we're saying how like it's a way to bend styles and like the creativity and shit, but it's like, fuck, man, it's just gross.
And if your hazy IPA isn't sweet enough, just mash higher.
Yeah.
Mash higher, or you can back sweeten with liquid Belgian candy sugar. Sure. Like, it's way better than lactose.
Or fruit it, even if
fruit it.
Or if you have an error, fruit it.
Yeah.
Add some fruit in.
Strawberry's so sweet.
Or throw smoked malt in there.
Yeah.
One homebrew I did, I think it was like one of the first double IPAs I tried to do, and like crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Came out like over 10%. So probably verging on like triple IPA.
There's another trend that I didn't really like back in the day, and it seems to have died off, obviously. The bitterness wars.
Yeah. That was
like the human taste buds can only perceive between like 70 to 80 IBUs. I think that's what it is. Don't put something that says 1,000 IBUs. Like, don't try and beer bait me. It's stupid. I don't need that. I don't want that. It's similar to Scoville units as well in hot sauce.
Right. How do you have the greater than the number?
Yeah, I don't want to die.
That's not a number. It's just like
it's more than 10 million Scoville units.
It's more than I'm capable of comprehending.
Well, then just kill me. Like, if I'm eating this wing, I want to be next to a fucking hospital.
Or just give me a plain wing and I'll shoot heroin.
Yes. Yeah.
Dad.
We should do that tonight.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right before we go down to Mill Street. We cook ourselves.
Can I get an organic?
So made a double IPA.
Right.
Crazy bitter, drinkable, but like not pleasant.
Did you send it to Dogfish Head?
Yeah, for Sam for review.
Sammy.
Give me your feedback.
Speaking of Italians,
this cost me so much money to ship. I boiled a bunch of blueberries. I got some like old fresh blueberries and just cooked those up and then dumped that in. Dropped the ABV down. It kind of like balanced it out, gave it a little bit of sweetness, and it was nice. And it turned it purple,
like an alcoholic blueberry waffle.
It turned it purple.
Nice.
Cool. Loved it.
Purple drink.
So yeah, lactose. G'day.
And I know there is a place for lactose here and
there. Like stouts.
Yeah, but like it's something that some breweries and brewers use to mask the fact that they can't make a good IPA.
Yeah, especially like in the hazy category too.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And people badmouth hazies a lot, like brewers. And, I get it. I do drink them from time to time. I know that Pilsners and lagers are a lot more technically sound, and the recipes and the process is a lot more technically sound. But there's a lot of technical brewing know-how to actually brew a proper hazy IPA that it shouldn't be as bad now, because it's not just about dumping a bunch of flaked wheat, flaked oats, and a bunch of juicy hops in there. It's not about that.
Yeah, no.
You got to dial in your grams per liter. You got to make sure that it's not
water profiles.
Your water profile is huge. The chloride to sulfate ratio is huge. It's not like it's an easy style and everyone's getting what. I know it's harder to make a clearer beer, but it also takes more equipment and more money.
Did you say clear beer on a hazy IPA?
What I mean is it's harder to make a clear beer than a hazy. So people are bad-mouthing hazies because they think it's easy. But that's not the only thing that goes with a fucking hazy. Like,
yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And that's like every style. What we've been talking about is like all the styles, they have a uniqueness and like a water profile that you have to dial in and make it fit for that style. Right. If
you want to badmouth hazies, go brew the best one that I've ever tasted or you've ever tasted.
Grab a bag of milk, throw some bread in it,
oat milk,
and then boil the shit out of it, and then throw some hops, and then strain it out with your food strainer, and then you'll have a milkshake IPA.
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
It's literally that easy.
So that's
thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for the question. That's a great question. And if you have, or anybody else out there has a trend or something that they can't stand in the brewing industry,
let us know in the comments. We'll talk about it on the next one.
Yeah, get at us in the comments about that. And then we have a second question here. Duke's Refresher Riverside asks, what style of beer have you never brewed but would like to brew? I'm gonna just lay it out here. Like, I've brewed probably 50 styles. Homebrewing and commercial brewing. So it's a tough question, but I've never brewed a Grodziskie. I'd love to brew a Grodziskie. 100% oak smoked wheat malt is the grain bill, basically. And it's just a really cool style. Wheat malt is can get very sticky, so a lot of rice hulls will need to be used.
Did one at Foley.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Smoked are my favorite beers. Or number 3.
I know you did some at Henderson too.
Smoked beers, yeah. Sticky. Exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Very sticky. Wheat rice hulls.
Oh, yeah.
It worked. Like, it was fine. But yeah, they're typically like 3%.
Yeah. They're
very
low
light
ABV.
So you don't need a lot, but it still gets pretty sticky. There's no space between how gooey the malt can get in there. You have nothing else. You have nothing else in there. So you need that base layer of hulls in there to give it a good stir, make sure it mixes well, and you get that good base. That's a large scale would be really cool.
Yeah. A style that I've never, ever brewed before in my life, and I would want to brew, like a proper barrel-aged sour.
Yeah, same.
Barrel-aged funk, Brettanomyces or similar,
real funky. You know you're getting infection.
Like a wild.
Yeah, wild, like open fermentation.
Proper barrel aged sour.
Throw some flowers on top.
Lay the flowers at the grave.
Yeah.
I'm fermenting it in a wooden casket, actually.
Yeah.
Casket beer.
Yeah, I think that's.
You've heard of casks? Well, it's
the
casket.
only one that's like at the end of the spectrum because if you're brewing that and you're doing that in your brewery, that's all you're going to be now.
Cascade in Portland.
That's all they do.
Best barrel-aged sour program. Funny about Cascade, you go into the brewery, the back where the taps are in the back wall of the tap room, they're made to look like barrels.
Yeah.
It looks like they're pouring from barrels.
That's all they are.
They're not really, but they look like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they do. It's just barrel pour.
And something that Christy came up with years ago that should be a thing that we want to try and implement is they have obviously ABV for alcohol percentage. They have IBUs for how bitter it is. There should be a pucker scale, 1 to 5. 1, low sourness, low titration, low sourness. 5, well,
you have a defining factor of 1 to 5 though. It's not just 5.
No, 1 to 5.
Scale,
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 1 being the least sour, like a light kettle sour or a Berliner Weiss, and then 5 being like it's so acidic it'll take the chrome off a bumper.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Yeah. What about you?
I would have to agree because like everything you try and do, you try and stay as clean as possible.
Yeah.
And like in that realm, there's nothing that you would push to do. And then sours, when we're like kettle souring, you're leaving it. That's stinky, it gets funky.
Leaving it for 24-hour hours. Yeah.
If you're in like a nice cave or like a brick cellar room with wood, you're already accepting that there's funk in there. So you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting into. So yeah, that's a really good one too.
Yeah, some of the beers that I had at Cascade years ago when I was in Portland were just so damn sour. So sour. Must have been a pH of like 3.2.
Yeah.
3.1 maybe 3. Like 2.9 you're getting into like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like that's almost acid. Well, that's great.
Good questions, guys. Thank you.
Great questions. Thanks to Christopher and Duke's Refresher Riverside.
Yep. We should go and say what's up to the Duke's friends.
Yeah, we will. We're gonna stop in next time.
Right around the corner. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, that's great. Great questions. Thanks, everyone. We're always gonna ask you to send questions in, and we'll always shout you out. So if you want to shout out,
we need feedback.
Please get at us.
It's like we're talking to you, kind of.
We're talking directly to you. Yeah. Anyways, Jamie, is there anything else you want to add to this delightful episode we just created for everyone out there for free?
Free? The weather's getting nicer. Wait, let me do that again. The weather's getting nicer. And
sure is.
Get out there. Go to your local breweries.
Go to your local breweries, please. Everyone, go to your local breweries. I don't know where you live.
Walk.
If you live in the core, I'm sorry, but there's not a lot of great local breweries.
You can find them. You know where you're doing. You got Google Maps.
Yeah.
Find them. Go support them. Drink their beer.
Yeah.
Support the community.
What's your favorite brewery off the top of your head right now? Go.
Everyside.
Nice.
I live there.
Yeah. DrinkEveryside.com. Great. Please, go support your local breweries. A lot of them do delivery now these days. So just pop on their site. A lot of them have free delivery over $50 or whatever.
Get yourself a bicycle.
Don't go to the corner.
Get your ass out there.
Yeah, don't go to the gas station or the convenience store.
Fuck the gas stations.
You don't get any gas today, you fucking punk.
Just buy it from the brewery.
Unless it's 12 o'clock at night and you're desperate.
Yeah.
Then you can go to the gas station.
But don't buy Coors Light. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
They got Great Lakes.
Yeah.
We had Octopus, like I said, one of my favorites because it's readily available everywhere.
There's craft beer.
Another shout out to IPA and Great Lakes.
There's craft beer everywhere, so please go find it.
Support those guys. Support us.
Yeah.
We're in it.
Yeah, we're in it.
So keep watching us too if you care.
So we're gonna have some interviews coming up pretty soon here.
Great.
So that's just a tease. Can't say anything quite yet, but keep on checking back because we got some stuff in the pipeline. So thank you so much for watching. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, please consider subscribing. Definitely like this video. Comment down below what you want us to cover. If there's any beers in Ontario or in the world in general that you want us to try.
If you're homebrewers, send it on over.
And if you're homebrewers, get at us and we'll have a way for you to send your beers.
And we'll meet you in a park.
We'll meet you in a park at 12 a.m.
Only brown bottle, no corny kegs.
Only brown bottle, and please make sure it's in a bag. And I want the bag to be slightly damp.
Yes. Because it better be fucking cold.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. I want the condensation to
no warm sours from your home brew kit.
No. I want a cold Colt 45.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then beerbanterpodcast.com. Get at us on our official website. All right, we were in the middle of our wrap up and realized we didn't have a beer, so we just filled up a beer from the keg.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. As always, life's too short.
Drink great beer.
Drink great beer. Cheers, y'all.
Until next time.